This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Hello and welcome everyone to Speak Up Effective Communication. I'm your host, Craig O'Neill, and I am thrilled to have a special guest with me today. Jermy Glassco is joining me. I have had the privilege of working with Jermy for quite a while at AutoFlow and in the automotive industry as a colleague. I'm so happy to have you here, Jermy. Hello. Thank you for joining me.
Greg, this is amazing. Thank you. I've been waiting for this moment since I heard that this podcast was happening. So it means, this just kind of wraps up a wonderful Wednesday. Thanks to my wife for letting me miss dinner, Craig, so that I could.
You missed dinner too?
I could be right. Dinner. Yeah, that's what I thought. So if I seem a little hangry, or if that's the right word, it's not that at all. It's just that's the kind of thing this means to me, Greg. So
the magic that goes into these podcasts sometimes is squeezing in a great conversation with someone you very much respect. And so, Jeremy, thank you, though. There is sacrifice that goes into these sort of things. And let's take a moment to also thank our sponsors that made this podcast possible. Looking to take your shop to the next level of quality service, team culture, and overall profitability? At the Institute, we provide personalized coaching that aligns with your goals of financial stability, excellent customer service, and employee satisfaction. Our priority is helping you establish significant and sustainable progress. We work with you to create strategies that reduce the stress of running your business, improve your quality and performance, and optimize your profitability. Experience the benefits of professional coaching by visiting wearetheinstitute.com/business-assessment. Hey friends, as you know, I'm a proud member of the AutoFlow team, and let me tell you, we've changed how business is done for auto shops everywhere. We support your client experience before, during, and after the work is done. Imagine this. Timely updates sent directly to your clients, branded digital vehicle inspections, and seamless communication from start to finish. That's why shops love AutoFlow. And hey, with those 5-star reviews rolling in, you'll wonder how you ever managed without us. Take an important next step and take your auto shop to the next level. Visit www.autoflow.com. Get on board with an AutoFlow trial. Are you ready to meet your perfect auto repair shop management software partner? Well, say farewell to the days of transactional relationships and hello to a true partnership that elevates your business. The #1 all-in-one solution is AutoLeap. You're not just getting software, you're gaining a dedicated ally committed to your success. AutoLeap will help you sell more, save time, and delight your customers at every turn. From scheduling appointments to creating estimates, generating invoices, managing technicians, and seamlessly syncing with QuickBooks to keep your records updated. Experience the difference a true partnership makes. Visit Autoleap.com and book a demo today. Autoleap, your trusted partner for success. You know what I appreciate about my friend Jermy Glassco, founder of AppFueled? It's his passion. Specifically, his passion for helping shops convert clients to members. What's the difference, you ask? Jeremy can tell you. Members visit and make necessary purchases more often and more confidently. Any shop can become proficient with creating a membership base using AppFueled. Get started today by visiting appfueled.com and build your first app like a pro. Want to see your auto repair shop thrive? Are you looking to drive more customers to your auto repair shop? Let ShopDog Marketing be your guide. Our customer-first approach, combined with AI-driven creative content, ensures top rankings. Dominate mobile first and voice search with our specialized expertise. Reach out to ShopDog Marketing today and start growing your business. Don't miss out on this chance to boost your business. Visit shopdogmarketing.com. I am here today with one of the sponsors of Speak Up, Jermy Glassco, CEO of AppFueled, the original mobile app ninja himself. Man, this is going to be fun, Jeremy. So there's a whole bunch of topics I'm really excited to get to because I've regarded my time spent with you and everyone I know that has had the chance to work with you. You, sir, are an excellent communicator.
Wow, that's okay. Well, thanks for that well-rounded, robust introduction, Craig. I mean, that's where do I go from there? I mean, So
Well,
yeah, that's yes, Greg. That working with you at Autoflow, Chan, Chris, Scott, the crew, Cody. How about this? Communication gets better when you surround yourself with people that know how to communicate. So
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
We only hire geniuses, of course, but
Oh yeah,
no,
sure.
yeah. No, but here's the thing. And as I got to know you, this was one of my favorite things that was revealed to me. I mean, we were actually driving to a conference. Where were we? It was in Texas, of all places. Of course it was. And we were going to meet one of our major clients, and you were joining me. So it was the first chance I had to meet with you one-on-one in person. It was rather comical. We were so engrossed in the conversation. I remember at one point, I totally missed the exit while we're
I
driving.
was going to say, I feel like we didn't get there the most efficient route, but that's a good way to do life.
About the
Sometimes
journey.
it is. It's the journey.
But that's what a good conversation can do to you. Now we'll talk about communicating navigation directions, because I think you saw that exit coming, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, it's possible, but but why would you want to interrupt where Craig was going with this? If you guys could have been in the car with me, you would not have like mentioned the exit number. You just
We
let
were
Craig
getting into
finish
our
the stop.
stories. Yeah. No, the backstories of who we are. And that's the kind of stuff that's it's when we're a remote team, and anyone that's communicating on a remote team, I think would appreciate this too. You don't always get the time that you would have in an office setting to converse with people. We miss out on that. So when we do see each other, it's like, oh man, this is awesome the whole time.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. If the extrovert is really in us, we scream out for these opportunities. We're like, oh wow, getting
Yes,
out behind the camera, interacting with what is now a good friend. Yeah. Yes, Craig. That's
absolutely.
yeah. And why is it Texas? Like you said, there's a lot of things going on in Texas, right? I mean, that's
Seems that way all the time. And it's always summer when we go. But yeah,
yeah.
speaking of hot places and odd times to go. Now, this is what was fun about learning about you is I didn't realize this until I got to know you better. But you were effectively raised in the jungles of Papua New Guinea.
Well, yeah. And Craig, for your delight, and it wasn't necessarily just for this podcast, but am I pointing the right direction? Let's try this. Do you see back on the wall? I
I
took the
do.
blur off, right? We got a bow and arrow. We got the currency of Papua New Guinea. It's called a kina. Originally was a
Nice.
shell right off the beach of Madang and Leh. They found these beautiful shells, traded them up to the highlanders of the island. And then
Huh.
there's a little I could have put it on, but I decided not to. They call it a beelam, a beelam hat. I didn't really want to, touch on the PC lines, that I'm not trying to claim that I am a Papua New Guinean by any stretch. I did not move there till I was 3. So I was not born there. I can't say, like my wife loves to say, I'm born and raised in Idaho. All I get to say is I was raised in the jungle. I don't get to say I was born in the jungle, unless you count
It's in the
Hot
jungle.
Springs, Arkansas as the jungle, because I was born there. So that'll be up to you guys.
Oh, that's great. Now let's see if we can see that back there. I think, oh man, that is cool. That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
really
So there's a little
interesting.
Beelum hat, and then in the far corner on my other side of the foosball table, which my son finally beat me. Oh, this guy! But there's a basket back there, just beautiful artistry on the island of all kinds. So
So
I'm
cool.
happy. Yep,
No,
and
you carry that
yeah,
stuff with you still. No, that's really,
yes.
really great.
I mean, it means a lot to me, Craig. I didn't leave there until I was 17, so a little back and forth back to the United States. But yes, Papua New Guinea is just
Okay.
it's in my DNA.
So for our listeners, if you caught that, age 17, that's when you came to America.
As a 4th time, right? Because as a
Fourth time,
missionary kid,
you get
your
some breaks.
parents don't necessarily stay there nonstop. So at least
Right.
in the structure of their travels, it was we were there for 3.5 or 4, come back for 6 to 9 months to a year, and then go right back. So,
Got it.
so I've done the math, Greg. Somewhere along the way, I missed school. So for those that are thinking you're thinking you got the call, God's called you to be a missionary, your kids might get to miss out on school. I mean, I was moving from a country that starts in January school to a country that starts in September. Figure that out. Somewhere along the way in this back and forth, I graduated 17, which is not that rare, but like a very young 17 from high school. So if I already just immediately, something's not intellectually correct about this guy, I'm just claiming it. I missed some school, Craig.
You missed some school. See, now I'll say this though. We homeschooled our kids until high school, and
Okay.
now homeschooling can get a bad reputation sometimes. That'll happen.
It can't.
But
Sure, the stereotypes. Sure. Yeah.
exactly. But they're around adults, the parents in particular, and you're modeling communication on a regular basis. So a lot of times, and if you look into the good examples of homeschooling, you would see this. The kids are extraordinarily articulate. They carry conversations well. They make the eye contact that is necessary to engage in adults in a respectful way. I think there probably is something to that. Now, we can have fun with this. We can say, yeah, you're raised in the jungle, but somehow came out a great communicator. But I think that there's something behind all that. And that's kind of what intrigues me about you. What do you feel like made you a great communicator in your experiences?
It's rare to just hear someone really say that out loud, and thank you for that. I don't get a lot of people.
Accept that you're a great communicator.
Yeah. So yeah, first of all, maybe I need to absorb this, Craig, and go, okay. So, because like what I often hear, my wife's downstairs. She might say he's not such a great communicator, right? So, hey, how about I start with this little preface to this? I think you said earlier that I could ask questions, right? That was a thing that I had going.
You ask great questions, Jeremy. In conversations, I have this repeatedly when you were working with me, with clients, when we were working together at AutoFlow. You ask such good questions in meetings. You're listening to what they're saying, and then you ask a question on the topic really well. You're an excellent interviewer. You'd be really great at this end of the host scenario, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You ask great questions.
Yeah. Now, based on what you think about someone like my character, right, Craig? What do you think the reason for that is?
So he just did it right now, folks. Did you see that?
No, this is real. I kind of want to get your guess. What's your guess? Why do you think I'm good? You think I'm good at asking questions? What's your first guess at that?
No, it's your curiosity. I think you are a naturally curious person, and that you enjoy learning about other people. I found that to be true in you. Would you agree with that?
Okay, good guess, but I'm gonna have to reveal a couple things. I was thinking through this last night, knowing this was gonna be a speak up, Greg, and you were gonna ask some good questions of me, and I had to kind of self reflect. And man, I wish I would have put this in my book, but I actually think it's two things, Greg. This is gonna sound very narcissistic, so hold on. One, I think the reason I was good at asking questions as a traveling jungle kid back to the United States was to have a deep relationship over a long period of time was very challenging. I would often in situations where the people I was interacting with were strangers. And you may not know this about me, but I'm actually extremely nervous and I don't like attention. And so what I discovered was it was actually a narcissistic trait to ask questions so that I didn't have to talk.
Interesting.
If I could get someone talking, and people love to talk about themselves, right? I mean, we know this, Greg. I mean, look, I'm talking, you're asking questions. Like this is what they enjoy someone to open up. And I like your idea that, oh, I was doing it out of my goodness of my heart to be curious. Now, maybe this is maturing and that's starting to show up. But initially it was just out of fear that I'm interacting with strangers. And I discovered for me, and now here's the second worst. This is the worst admission of why I ask questions. Being a middle child, this is just me reflecting on this, Greg. I think it's because I'm trying to persuade people to get my way. See, as a firstborn, I think it's built into me inherently. I'm attempting to discover an angle, right? And this is bad. I don't know why I'm saying this, guys, but I get the sense, Craig, that's what's going on. And I think God's been working on me a little bit there. Like, Jeremy, the angle you should be discovering if you are after one is how to love, right? And see, as a middle child who's always not quite getting the attention, the classic middle child syndrome, that the stereotypical,
middle child, buddy.
Yes.
Middle child.
Yeah. Now, and Craig, I haven't got that sense out of you. That's the direction God took you. But for my path, it was I discovered I can persuade. But
influence,
I can't
specifically. Yeah,
sure. Yep. And hopefully now that's become a crafted skill from a narcissistic sense. Hopefully now I'm hoping God's matured me a little bit. Now it's a little bit more like, no, I do this because I'm looking for the win-win. Not just like, oh, Jeremy's has something to win. So I still do find myself quite driven by persuasion, but I'm hoping at the end of the day, it's to love better. It's to do more good. So, but that's just a journey. I mean, of course I can't claim probably 8 out of 10 times I'm still trying to be the narcissist, but if it's too, there's just to kind of gave me all these compliments. I had to find a way to explain what's really going on in the inner me. So I find myself, Craig, I've written 2 books in the last going on 9 years, 2 books. And what I discovered was that was my outlet to reflect and why do you
Very nice.
Because I talk a whole lot to God and I never let him talk.
Yeah.
And,
No,
and
that's a thing. Mhm. Yep.
so in their book writing processes, as I go through that, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of good things people are saying, Jeremy. Listen, listen. So you got to be quiet. You got to put those thoughts down, and you have to reflect.
No, that's beautiful. And I think that's one of the things that this is a learned thing, and you just articulated it very well. A lot of people who want to become effective communicators do feel what you just described. I see this from other speakers on a regular basis. They're struggling with more of an imposter syndrome than anything else.
Yeah.
That's something that people have to be able to overcome, is like, you have unique experiences. You uniquely have your perspective to share. And the idea that you would somehow become an imposter on that, the only way that would ever be true is if you were presenting or speaking on something that was not your material or
Right.
you didn't have credit for. And that's not what we're talking about here. That's a whole different thing. But you have described what I think is one of the most important words. You said persuasion. I would say influence. And that
Okay. Yeah.
there's a speaker, I would love to get him on the show someday, Matt Browning. He's a recent member of our Toastmasters Club, but he's a speaker and he coaches speaking and other things. I'm really excited to get to talk to him more, hopefully in the future. But I saw a presentation at our Toastmasters meeting. We have an officer installment dinner each year. So we have a special guest speaker. He came in and it was amazing to get to see him. But he asked a question to the audience to open up his presentations, like, how many of you would love to be able to speak so good that you can manipulate the behavior of another person as much as you want to? It's a trap. It's a trap. Don't answer it.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh,
yeah, that sounds great at first, right? Don't say it. And everyone's like, no, because there's a word there. It should make you feel squeamish. Should make you feel a little uncomfortable.
Is that the one?
That is the word. You
That's
got
the
it.
one.
So, right. Good. No hands went up. Right. And then how many of you would love to be able to influence people? Right.
Oh,
And
then everybody, right? Yeah. I've got a 16-year-old daughter. Yes. I want to influence her.
Yeah. Manipulative creatures then. Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to be the one manipulated.
Yeah, I'm tired of that. No, this is the thing though. And Jeremy, yeah, I think it's interesting because you talked about persuasion. I mean, very concept of being a missionary child, your parents being missionaries. There's a whole lot of persuasion that's going there. And persuasion is not the only point of a mission. There's lots of depth that we've discussed in that. You're a very fun person to talk to on that subject too. And you got some experiences. You got to fly around in the MAF airplanes.
Yeah, Missionary Aviation Fellowship has those. What are they, the 206 Cessna? You would know the better.
It was probably the Cessna 206. So a lot of people don't know this about me, but when I first started college out of high school, I wanted to be a mission pilot for MAF.
Oh, that may not be over for you, Craig.
That's the funny thing. Student pilot right now. This is how God works in things, Jeremy. Because my flight instructor, go figure, flew with it'd be Steve Saint.
Okay,
martyred missionary. Fantastic story that was inspiring for me. But he himself is a missionary pilot. I'm going to have him as a guest on the show. We're going to talk some aviation concepts, and he's got to do speeches right now to get funds raised for himself and his churches and all that sort of thing. It's great. But what are the chances that I would have a flight instructor who himself is a mission pilot, just going to a flight school, asking who the flight instructors are available? I meet Austin. All right. Boom. Yeah. Of course. Of course, this is the road.
Yeah. And Craig, if you go this road, I'd like to say, I'm thinking your youngest child is what, 15? No.
She's 13, just 13. Yep.
So see, your kids would get to escape something if you decided to do this life now, right? Let's say you wait at least 4 or 5 years, you go off on something later, and then you're taking this on, because here's the problem with being a jungle kid like me. Okay, let's call me the jungle kid.
I love it.
Like, Craig, just look at me for a second. If anyone can see me, I just look like an American living in Idaho.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Like, I'm not trying to like claim what Americans look like or whatever, but
no, it's right there. I see him.
So the challenge here's the challenge. And Craig, you got to feel this, man. I'm going to my college for day one, right? Show up at my college, and in college, Craig, I show up and everyone looks at me and thinks I'm an American. And so I don't know if you've heard this term, the third culture kid.
No, explain this.
Heard the term? So here's where my what you think is good communication skills really hit the road, that I, for real, if I even wanted to have one friend, I had to learn how to ask questions and assimilate and become curious, because everyone assumes that I know it already and that I did it in American high school and that I fit in and that I have US pop culture. I have none of that. Okay. So does that make sense, Craig? So here I am. If I don't assimilate, I'm going to look absolutely out of place. So out of self-preservation, Jeremy becomes the assimilator, which means you got to be curious and you got to be good at asking questions, because almost as if you kind of know, but you don't, because you don't want to look like a fool. So it's the nuanced approach of what's the third culture kid. So really what it just means is you grew up in a home raised by your nationality in a sense, but you were living in another culture.
Yeah.
Then you come back to this culture, and I'm technically a third culture kid. I don't fit in Papua New Guinea because they don't look like me.
Right.
They don't sound like me.
Yep.
And then I don't fit in here, but you don't know it because I don't have a USA culture at its core. I don't have a USA childhood. I don't get all that. I don't have
Didn't get the pop references that anyone was saying.
No,
about,
like if we're saying stuff like, Vanilla Ice, I'm like, so is that like, okay, is that you just mix vanilla with ice and you put it in your, like these are the things. Like, okay, maybe I knew who Michael Jackson was. Even in Papua New Guinea, we had knockoff, black market copies of Michael Jackson stuff. But that's what's going on, Greg. So this third culture kid in me exists today. I mean, I had a guy ask me just yesterday on a call, one of these shop owners, he goes, Jeremy, where did you come from? I don't even know how to answer the question because they don't have 17 minutes. I don't get to, well, I was born in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Then I moved to, right. And everyone's got a version of this story. I don't stand out as like everyone has, if you're a military kid, there's so many things, but like
military kids, I think experience this to a degree as well. You're right.
It's a Third Culture Kid. Great book. If people haven't read it, it's incredible. It untaps a lot of hurt. It was so healing for those of you that have been in another culture. You come back to your parents' culture, wherever that is around the world, and you're listening to this. Read the Third Culture Kid. It helps you reflect upon that, like why you've not had long life childhood memories or people that you can connect to. Like my wife can drive over to her high school and can see the people that have been part of her life.
Oh, fascinating.
I have to go to New Zealand, to Germany, to Australia. And even if I'm hanging out with them, they're not their country's people either. They're third culture kids. And so where the great place for third culture kids to hang out is just with each other. That's our home. That's our home. So if I'm hanging out with other third culture kids, that feels home to me. It's not a geographic location. It's people that are not at home where they are.
That's really profound. That's amazing. That is a perspective I think a lot of our listeners will not have shared, but I'm certain some have. I know for sure on the military side, but that's really cool, Jeremy.
Great book. Yeah.
I'm writing that down. Now, you mentioned 2 other books, and I have to ask the title. You mentioned 2 books you wrote.
Okay. This one you might at first. Now you're going to go, so this was the graduation gift for my son. Okay.
No kidding.
9 years in the making.
Perfect Words by a Perfect Father by Jermy. What's the subtitle on your
yeah. Because at first I wrote it to be disruptive, right? Like you're going, Dad, do you really claiming to be a perfect father? Okay.
What does that say
with commentary and categorization by an imperfect father?
Oh, brilliant.
So I did that to be like when he first got it, like really this guy. and for anyone who follows Christ, like I hang on to this like it's perfect, like the Bible. So this is not the Bible, but it is 15% the Bible. There's over something like 4,000 Bible verses in this that I've read through the Bible 9 years in a row. And I'm not claiming like this is like some holier than thou. This was the wisdom of being alone with God, letting him talk and reflecting upon hurts and feelings and, challenges in life, sufferings, just all the things going on. And then going, I just had a little commentary along the way. Unfortunately, it turned out to be like 84% of the book was my commentary. Not quite what I had intended, but it actually was a prayer I threw out there about 5 years ago. I said, if I could hit 365 topics by the time he graduates, I'm getting this thing. And it's an audience of 2, actually. So my daughter's going to get a pink cover version. Great. But to show you guys how much I can really get going when I'm alone, it's actually a 2-volume work. So
no way, dude.
So I've had the most joy in private time just letting God talk and absorbing it and learning how to let him ask questions of my soul.
No, these are new. You didn't show me these before.
They just like my son just graduated from high school 3 months ago. He's starting Boise State, the blue field, let's go Broncos. He's starting there and he got that as a gift. Has he even picked up one page and read it? I don't think so. But like, okay, Pierce, if you ever listen to this, come on, man. But that wasn't the point. The point was just like I talked to you, write down,
Yeah.
reflect, soak it in. And we all have those moments where you're meditating and you're thinking through things.
Mhm.
I find for me, just the way, maybe I am an extrovert, but if I don't get that time alone to craft ideas, and I think many of us can relate to that.
Oh
So
gosh, yes. Yeah.
if you're
Now,
overly,
when you're
yeah,
doing this, Jeremy, when you get that time alone, are you sitting alone in a quiet space? Are you out
yes,
walking?
no,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not one of, yeah, no. In fact, I have a worn out area of carpet in my office that I just sit on carpet, and it's crazy. And I texted that book, Craig.
Wow.
It's actually was texted to myself.
You use your phone to text notes.
Yeah, because these commentaries came to me over 9 years. It wasn't like I was sitting there, oh, I need a 3-month sabbatical and I'm going to go write 300 pages. It was just today I got some insight. I texted it to myself, categorized it with the verse that prompted that thinking, and then kept moving on. I called it verse stacking. Some of them have like 52 different references throughout the book, all 66 books stacked together into one learning. And it kind of like, I call that verse stacking, because don't take the Bible out of context, right?
Yes, we had some deep conversations on our drive. This is probably one of those areas where
Yeah.
I missed the exit. Right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we got going on this. But
It was
so
probably-
and I think that's why I enjoy product ownership too. I don't view any one line of code, and I don't write code, but I don't view anything about our product as its own thing. I have to see it all working together, symbiotically, right? If it's not doing that, then why did we write it in there?
Mhm.
That's that's kind of been.
Well, this is a good
Yeah,
point to segue on, Jeremy, because
yeah.
here's the thing. Yeah, communication skills, all the things. You're in America now, you've done this. You found yourself in a fourth culture, my friend. A
Okay,
fourth,
okay. Which
the
one?
automotive industry.
Okay, wow. So we are all outsiders trying to be insiders. Fourth culture. Yeah.
No, it's so yeah. I was going to make a joke earlier, like, yeah, I was third culture kid. I was raised in a transmission shop.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so you don't even feel at home unless you're with other transmission people, right?
Yeah, yeah. I went to the ATRA, the Gears
Yeah.
conference last year, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
There's a shared experience, struggles, all the things that go with that part of the industry that even other parts of the industry in general, pair who I serve and work with all the time now, like they don't. Yeah, there's some elements to that. You're right, but
Yeah.
you got into this industry. How did you find your way to the automotive industry in general, but much less the aftermarket for that matter?
Sure. Great question. Just short story. I bought a program off eBay from a crook. Did I not tell you that before?
I didn't hear it that way.
That's exactly how I got in this industry. 2004. This guy was pawning off this program. It actually is really good. He just happened to be a crook. I ended up going to prison as far as I know. But I bought this. This is just where I'm at, guys. Like if you guys take personality tests, I recommend. They're fun to think through. But for whatever reason, at the top of my strengths, this is a strength. I'm like, this sounds like a foolish thing, but supposedly mine is disruptor. And then number 2 is risk taker. And I'm sitting here going, how am I going to work
Wow.
with these strengths? Okay. So, but apparently what you
Disruptor
do,
risk taker. Oh, perfect missionary kid. You got
yeah,
it.
maybe.
Done.
So maybe that's how this plays out, Craig. You got a disruptor risk taker buying a program off eBay, not tested, didn't call any references, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, it was this amazing idea to pair up. And I just was talking with Jeff at Pit Crew Marketing. He's got a vision beyond what I ever could envision of how awesome. You have to get Jeff on here.
That's really weird. I have his business card on my desk.
Get this guy to talk.
Wow.
Yeah, the way I'm just starting to absorb what Jeff thinks, but I had a much smaller, less philanthropic, if that's the word, concept that I bought off eBay. But here's what it is: pair up parents of sports teams and youth groups and nonprofit endeavors at a very local level. Pair them up with an auto shop. And you do that back in the old days. Do you guys remember, Craig? Do you go this far back where people were selling the prepaid maintenance packages door to door? Do you remember
Wow.
that?
That wasn't a big part of my business, but
Well, maybe not yours, but that
Yeah.
was actually a thing. Shops would have a prepaid maintenance plan, and they would pay someone $20 to go around and sell those packages door to door. 3 oil changes, just dream up your
Sure.
prepaid. Yeah. So this guy was like, wait, if that's actually working, and let's say it did, I'm not saying I had the evidence it does, but then why not kids selling that? And then why not that money going to, and so talk about, it's actually, I still
That
stand by it. I think
community level stuff, like that's very intriguing. It sounds like a Jeff conversation for sure.
yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So I stand by that concept that you could help youth. And so the program, and boy, it's called Oil for Kids. That was the original name. That's how I
Oil
got
for
it.
kids.
Oil for Kids.
Ah,
So
feels like something Texans would get behind.
you do, you get, yeah, see, I thought this all goes back to Texas. But yeah, that was the intro point, and I've never left. It's just, wow. Yeah, it was a great place to start. I'm appreciative that God's used my risk taking just to get me here, right? You don't, if anyone's thinking about that, like you got this something to go do, and all of the reasons not to, don't let me be the guy to tell you not to, because
This program that you bought,
yeah, mhm.
what was it doing? What was that supposed to do?
it
We'll
actually
leave the
was not.
person out of it.
It actually was just information.
Just information.
Just information. It was essentially a training booklet, like all of our great training and coaching
Okay.
groups we have. It's that. Now, I haven't heard anyone, I don't know all of our coaches in our industry, but that's probably out there somewhere. I know someone like Jeff at Pit Crew and others have this concept that you could be working with affiliates in your neighborhood. And if you're a great communicator with those affiliates, you're going to find a beautiful way to partner together. And like I said, Jeff has a way, as far as I could tell, a much more fleshed out version of this concept. And the Oil for Kids is not Pit Crew, so don't think that about Jeff. He's got just what I can tell, great concept. So I'm encouraged by that we've got shops understanding that Google AdWords, postcards, all of it's, I'm not going to be the critic of those or being ranked high. All of those are, maybe don't stop, right? If it's working, it's working. But there really is an angle where if you're a great shop brand and you provide incredible value, then get partnered up with businesses in your town and nonprofits.
This is kind of core of what I've recognized you do. You help connect people with people. And you have the concept of membership as well with auto repair shops. That's something that I know AppFueled is angled towards. What's the bridge from that point of your realizations here to where you are now with your own program?
Okay. That little diamond of an idea I bought off eBay, Craig, still exists in AppFueled today. I never let it go. AppFueled, even like our corporation name is Refer a Car. People may not know that, our DBA, AppFueled, but what was behind that was this concept, like, wait, we just built this simple little web widget, right? Where back in the old days where people were activating a promo code, like we've all done this as consumers, we get this, and it's entitling me to something at a new business I've never tried. Think, well, where's that gone? Groupon. I mean, think of all the places where this concept has just like flown off the shelves. It's obviously works as a new customer acquisition tool. But what then I realized is, wait a minute, if we can get kids to do it because they're just trying to raise money. What about that customer you have who loves you and they forgot the business card you gave them to hand to their neighbor, or they forgot, you get where I'm going with this, Greg, they forgot that printed thing, or that word of mouth concept wasn't, as I started realizing what was happening here, I'm like, there's a great opportunity here for your most loyal customers to engage in your brand. And in this case, create a profile and then be able to share that. And I think we're just seeing this play out. I don't have the gift of prophecy at all, but people are definitely building profiles with their businesses they want to do business with again. And then they're definitely getting recommended to tell friends and family. If anyone's using the Greenlight app with your kids, they're nonstop promoting refer another family to Greenlight. You get $500 credit right to your account. I mean, this is incredible power to have I call it a craving member, someone who craves your business. They like it enough to then take an action in that experience. So that's the evolution of AppFueled. We become all kinds of things, but at the core of it all, it's this idea that someone that likes your brand is enough willing, they love it enough, Craig, they're going to spend time for you.
They're going to spend time. Yes. Okay. Yeah, because that is an expression of a committed relationship in many regards.
Yeah.
Spending time. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And people, what I've discovered, I've got a guy at shop, name's JJ, incredible guy. If you guys have heard him on Ratchet and Wrench, he's proven to me that customers, if there was a love language of customers, if what their love language is, it actually is time. He's proven it too. He's proven that customers would be more willing to exchange dollars than they would be to exchange time. That's how tight they hold on to time.
Interesting.
Do you want a practical example of that, Craig?
Absolutely. Give us a practical example of this, Jeremy.
Well, the practical is that when presented with something that's in it for me, it's going to take a lot for me to give you time. And I'm the slowest learner in the industry. I thought customers wanted to download apps. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And so to trade that time for Craig, for you to convince, like, let's tell me right now, right? Tell your audience right now, guys, everyone go to here in the App Store, download my app. What would it take to get your audience to go do that?
Yeah,
Right?
I'm one of those guys that likes a clean screen on my smartphone, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't like apps.
Okay. Yeah, it's built
I'm
in.
that guy.
But even if, what about the guy who's okay with apps, but he doesn't have the time?
That's also me. So yeah,
Oh,
what's in it for me is a key thing. I would have to have a very compelling reason.
yes.
Very compelling reason to go in.
Yeah. And that's great segue to great communicating shops. They know how to do this. They know how to communicate the value that their brand brings you, different than the shop down the street. Whether they do it through a beautiful lobby, a wonderful video, a great brochure, or just a smiling service advisor, everything about your shop is communicating. And the shops that know you're trying to grab time from your customer, their most valuable asset, the one they can never get back and they can't buy it, that's what you're trying to get from your customer. If you really want them to engage, you really want them to climb your customer loyalty ladder, you have to be the best communicator. Better than, so Craig, you're doing this mission you're on to like raise the bar of communication.
Alignment. Yes. No, we absolutely are. And this is the thing. And Jeremy, what you described is a very human component to it as well. And we live in a day, and there will be further conversations and episodes on this topic of how AI is implemented in businesses today. I have strong opinions on that. You know some of them.
I've tried a couple ChatGPT poems on you, thinking what just to test them.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think about this? Like, I think ChatGPT wrote it.
I love that. Guys, that was one of the funnest moments working at Autoflow. Occasionally, I would send something over to Craig, knowing like this. Does he have his ChatGPT radar on? Of course he does.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just waiting for the day where I can't tell it's actually that way. So far, that radar is pinging strong, and it's just it's like. Anytime I get asked to do something that involves an AI component to it as well, I feel like it's cheating, and I feel like it's not actually what people on the receiving end want. That's where I feel it's off. And what I think you're describing is you're trying to describe how to get a client to want something. And in this day and age where people have an AI assistant that can spit back some elements of data that might be stored in your system and algorithmically make a recommendation based on some other thing, who knows what. There's good uses of data for AI. AI is great for using data where I cannot stand it, where I will draw the line, where I say, no, don't do this. It's when it starts imitating a person, and it starts imitating our ability to communicate. When it stops giving us the data to use effectively and starts trying to be more effective by imitating a person, this is where I feel it cheapens the whole point of all of it, because you described a local community level, you described connecting people, you described changing time, and the expression of time, expression of loyalty, the expression of love is time. And if you love your clients, and this is a relationship-based business, there's a component of time that you, a human being, must give instead of the transaction that you give to a program or a software to do it for you.
Yeah. Okay. So Craig, you're drawing the line between AI all the way up to improves efficiencies is fine. But
And
AI,
uses
the
of data,
moment it becomes, what was the word you used even earlier? You said imposter.
Yeah.
Right? That's the worst kind of.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So the worst kind of communicator then is an imposter, right?
Yeah. I would say that if it's something that's pretending to be you or somebody that's in service to you, but it is just a machine.
Yeah.
Now you've challenged me before on this topic, and I think this is a relevant thing to bring up inside of an application, even within loyalty earning steps inside of an app. You asked a really good question of I don't remember how it went exactly now. You had some point you were making like, well, aren't they having a relationship with the business through this experience still? It was something along those lines, but there was another speaker I met at a conference, Tony Chapman. Love to get him on the show as well. Wonderful communicator, excellent keynote speaker. He had a statement. We were just discussing things at one of those buffets that you would have at an event, having a conversation. He says, you cannot automate communication. You can't automate communication. And I think the point behind this was, and if I'm quoting it accurately, I'll have to clarify, but I think that for it to be classified as actual communication, I think it involves two human beings.
If we give AI a name and it's not truly replacing a human, it's taking its own entity. How do you feel about that, Craig?
My fear is that people would want to try to replace well-trained staff members and say that, hey, it's okay, you don't need to be trained because there's this thing that's going to be better than the average Joe person for this, and your business will thrive with this as a result. I would ask you to show me the client who's asking for a machine versus a person, because I don't know about you. I'm the guy. You get through that prompt on a support call. Give me a person, 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 get me a person, 000. I'm done. I will try for a minute, maybe on that point, but I'm done very quickly. I don't want artificial prompt or the thing that's pretending to be something. I want the person, and I want to be served by a person.
Now, Craig, I've heard you say you do awesome webinars too on AutoFlow. And on occasion, I love where you're going this, even if we say we do incorporate AI and we make these choices to do some of our communicating, and you're bringing even up almost a challenge that is it communication if it's not two humans, but let's make an assumption that it is for starters. But if somehow AI is doing, say, entry level communication, let's give it this phrase, then I've heard you say something like, if technology and like AutoFlow, status updates and all these amazing things coming out of AutoFlow too, I'm looking at this going, I've heard you say it, that gives the human more time to do the human
proper
level
conversations.
Yes.
So that's exactly where you're going. Yes. So those things can build towards that. But why, if you're using communication that's intended to be automated, just to keep people primed for a thing, to avoid a passive element of communication, something as simple as a status update, I think is a great example. What we're doing with that is staging a call, not trying to replace a call. We're staging a call. Everything on that is designed to build up to the human interaction, not replace it. And that's where I think, you can use stuff, you can build stuff, but everything is about staging a call. Why do the impersonation element of it? No one looks at that and thinks, it felt pretty much like a person. That was great. No, they think that was a machine. This is actually kind of wasting my time because it's actually a really efficient way for it to communicate information. Frankly, I read a lot faster than I can listen. And if you gave it to me in a font format or something else, I can go a lot quicker and move on my way. Why the point of going through the, theater of it? It's the theater that really irks me these days. I feel like a lot of things that are popular AI features, I think we just really have a society that is not ready for AI fully. They don't know what to do with it. It's true power. And as a result, all we can do is try to put our own image into it as much as we can. And we are not the creator that can make things in our image. And I don't know that is necessarily the image we want to make things in.
For me, Craig, I mean, how about this? I should probably leave it here with the AI topic. I think for me to be, jury's out. The jury's out for me on how I feel, because I don't.
How we feel doesn't matter. It's a coming, and it has to be embraced and leveraged in many ways.
The jury's out.
Sure. Oh, I gotcha.
It's one of those things that I percolate on, and it's constantly in my head because I've seen applications that are using it, and it seems as if it's working. And so the jury's out for me on exactly how. So I'm as a tech company, we're probably behind, to be honest, on how, like answering the how question of.
I think there's a responsibility for some of that, by the way, for timing wise. A lot of people are rushing headlong into it. And the things that people are asking for, I don't know a lot of people asking for it. And you've seen this and you watch the news, I'm sure. Have you seen some of these stories? Like the investments that's gone into AI isn't paying out.
Oh, it's not. Okay. No, I actually have not. I don't. I'm not a big.
No. So this is the reality, like how to monetize it. How do you actually monetize it? And of course, you can sell people some things that'll do so. There's a funny story. So on our training team, Brandon was playing with one of those. Brandon Cruchet, he's on our training. You know Brandon. And he was showing a training video of how to do some simple thing in AutoFlow, playing with one of those programs that people are trying to sell, where it has a person on the screen. You feed it the facts that you need it to talk about, and it looks like a person running through the training thing. And he says, hey, look, this was easy for me to throw together. What would you think about it? Of course, I told him over my dead body. We're never going to put a fake person out there that's showing someone how to use
deep fake Craig.
It was really funny too, because it was a female avatar, because it randomizes the avatars. So,
yep.
Hi, this is Brandon. That wrecked it. No, it was that wasn't work. But no, like there's so much oddity to it. I think it's just, I don't know. The word I would use for a lot of these things is, and this is judgy. It's just super judgy, man. But I feel like people have gotten very lazy with their communication. That's where the desire seems to be there for people that might feel overwhelmed. There's other symptoms of that, but we're missing something. The clients want to connect with you. If this is a relationship-based business, it's up to you to be good at that. It's up to you to have staff members that have the wherewithal and the time to be able to do that. And I don't know, man, I haven't gotten excited about any of that stuff. I get excited about how we can aggregate data really quick to, for example, something Autoflow would put previous repair history right in front of the technician's eyes in an inspection form,
right?
Because it can do that, right? And that's giving the human something useful, and it did something useful for the human.
If in that workflow, Craig, and you guys train on this too, right? That, I mean, he's already in conversation, so to be able to maintain a conversation while you have to go formulate data, put it together, and assimilate a story, it's not right. That's not that, like, I'm a terrible so where my weaknesses show up in, so this happens a lot, Craig. I'll get in some kind of call. 3 or 4 people are on the other end. I go into overload because I'm trying to read body language. So maybe I got to listen to your podcast more is where I'm going with this, because I've got 4 people. I want to ask them all questions. Some of them are talking and it's only me on this side sometimes. So I feel like I'm the question asker. I'm supposed to be, I'm also pursuing usually an agenda of some kind. Then I'm supposed to be taking notes and absorbing this. So as what I call this bad so I'm learning even that, Craig, like how to slow down in the conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
And maybe that's just because I'm getting older and my kids off to college. Like, just slow down and think about, be a better listener at its true core, not because you were even curious, but because there's something there this person's feeling that they know that you don't know. So beyond curiosity, it's learning. So like my kids make fun of my dad because he's the gas station attendant guy. He talks to all of those, anybody, anywhere, asks a question, and then 5 minutes later, and I'll test him on this. Like, so what did you ask him? He goes, he can sometimes remember the question. He can't remember the answer.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's not my pathway as I age towards grandpa status.
Yeah.
I want to
be funny. Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't it be like, oh, would you? So where I'm headed with that, Craig, is ask a question with the intentionality to learn, not to respond, not to take down a quick note and hope you got closer to your agenda. You asked it because you wanted to learn.
Yeah, that is where anything that you could use in your agenda comes out. If you wanted to, because if you actually care about the person you're talking to, that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Jeremy, this is beautiful. And we could talk a lot more on this. There's actually several questions that I have that would probably be episode worthy of them all by themselves. We'll want to be respectful of the fact that you did not have dinner yet.
Oh, well, I appreciate. Yeah, well, okay, I can go grab some bite to eat. Yeah, I can do that.
So, no, we'll let you do that, and we will reconvene at some point in the future, Jeremy. I really appreciate this conversation, and I hope people learned some things from Jeremy's experiences. There's so many good things in there. You mentioned the books you wrote, The Third Culture Kid. Jeremy, there was one other book you mentioned.
Oh, it's called The Ultimate Auto Repair Marketing Guide.
Yes.
Yeah, so that one, boy, I could, like, real briefly, guys, it's 5 steps. That's it. To show you how wordy I can be, 300 pages to give you 5.
This isn't 5 volumes. This is just 5 steps.
Yeah, 5 steps in 300 pages. So, you go, so this is why, so guys, if you get asked to be on Craig's show, what I'm thinking is he's working on you. He's trying to help you be a better communicator. So, hey, Craig, for really, you kind of take me under your wing a bit on this communication thing. Your Toastmasters, what you do with that is awesome. The way you and Chris get to speak at trade shows, like, I don't know if I told you this, I was deathly scared. You said 76% can't speak in public.
Sure.
Right. I'm at the top of that. I mean, I'm like, I didn't do it. And there was one moment that broke me. It was the Dale Carnegie sales course, right? I'm in front of my peers and I had to get up there and it broke me. I mean, And
How did it break you? What happened?
well, what happened is they voted me the Sales Carnegie Sales Champion, but it was the first time I ever spoke in public. I avoided it, ran from it, ignored it. I was 24 at the time,
Okay.
and I know why they voted me in as champion.
Why?
It was not because I did a good job. Because
Were they trying to build you up?
yes, and that
Oh,
is a beautiful thing. I love that about our industry. Like, there's so many people willing to, like, "Hey, you're struggling right now. Like, let me help out.
weird.
Let me help out." And Chris is one of those guys at Autoflow. That's why you and I even know
Oh,
each
yeah.
other, right?
Yeah.
Appfueled, we've had our journey of not scaling like everyone dreams of your business scaling, and Chris came along and kind of was like, "Jeremy, you need some help," but not like in a prideful way. It's not that at all. It's just so guys, if you're getting authentic people like Chris, Craig doing that, I guess I'm encouraging your audience, Craig. So
You absolutely are, dude. You're
yeah,
encouraging me. You always have. This is why I enjoyed talking with all of us.
yeah,
Enjoyed talking to you. We loved having you on our team with Autoflow. We celebrate what you're doing at App Ninja, and I just,
yeah.
man, we're following you well. And folks, as a sponsor of this podcast, I have to express this again on air because truly, Jeremy, your sponsorship on this makes this show possible, and having that support from
Thanks.
a friend like you out of the gate, while this is new for me, a new experience for me. Man, you're helping me out. I love this so much.
All right. All right.
And we'll
Well,
keep doing
going,
this
Craig.
stuff, man.
Yeah,
We'll
keep
keep
it
it
going
going, brother.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep.
We'll
Thanks, Craig.
absolutely see you soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
You've been listening to Speak Up, Effective Communication with Craig O'Neill on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Craig on your favorite podcast listening app and on his YouTube channel. Let him know what you'd like him to speak up about. Craig is all for advancing the automotive service aftermarket.